Well, it's still getting messier and messier in the It Ends With Us feud between co-stars Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
Putting these handcuffs over his head while he's driving, and he was just whipping backwards as I was reaching forward, and pow! First black eye I've ever had in my...
Let's dive into the Hollywood drama that has everyone talking. Imagine this. Two of the biggest names in the industry, Denzel Washington and Ryan Reynolds, teaming up for a high-stakes thriller. Sounds like a dream duo, right? Well, not exactly. What began as a promising professional collaboration quickly turned into one of the most awkward on-set dynamics Hollywood has seen in years. From behind-the-scenes tension to rumors swirling around Ryan Reynolds and his wife Blake Lively struggling to maintain their golden couple glow, this story is far messier than anyone expected, and the cracks were visible long before the cameras stopped rolling.
They called cut, and I looked back and, oh man, he had a shiner this big, and I just thought, wow, this is the end of me. This is the moment that Denzel Washington turns me into a...
Ryan later described one moment that perfectly captured the intensity of the situation. After a scene wrapped and someone called cut, he glanced back and noticed Denzel sporting a massive black eye. Ryan reportedly thought, "This is it. This is the moment Denzel Washington turns me into liquid." The joke landed, but the underlying tension was real. Working opposite a legend like Denzel came with pressure, fear, and the constant feeling that one wrong move could end your career on the spot.
Back in a, flagon or something, so I was pretty worried about that, but he took it in stride and we kept shooting, shockingly, and got the day.
Here's the tea. Back in 2012, Ryan Reynolds was completely starstruck when he landed the chance to work with Denzel Washington on the action-packed thriller Safe House. Ryan openly gushed about the opportunity, calling Denzel a legend and admitting it was a dream just to share a room with him. You'd think that level of admiration would lead to a picture-perfect working relationship, but nope, Denzel had other energy entirely. The moment that truly set tongues wagging happened during an appearance on The Jonathan Ross Show. When asked about working with Ryan, Denzel skipped the usual Hollywood niceties and delivered a zinger no one saw coming. In his trademark deadpan tone, he joked that Ryan was so busy watching him act that he forgot to act himself, adding, "I just thought he was terrible." The audience froze, unsure if it was a joke or a brutal truth. Tom Hardy, also on the couch, nearly spit out his drink, and Ryan, well, he probably felt that burn all the way back in Canada.
Said that having read through Blake Lively's complaints, that it was evident to me that she was likely under the influence when she filed her complaint.
Now, if this were just a one-off comment, you could chalk it up to Denzel Washington's famously dry sense of humor. But here's the problem. It wasn't an isolated moment. There's a pattern, and it's not exactly flattering for Ryan. In another interview, Denzel was asked about his experience working with Ryan on Safe House, and instead of offering the usual polite praise, he paused. Not a thoughtful pause, an awkward one. He smiled, sat in silence, and looked like he physically could not bring himself to fake a compliment. When he finally spoke, his response was vague and non-committal. No glowing words, no great guy to work with, just a quick pivot to another topic. The secondhand embarrassment was real, and the message was loud without being said.
Literally, I'm just asking the question, how are women allowed to do this, to take something and to make it sound like you survived? Because that's what it sounded like to the public.
And then there's the infamous black eye incident. Oh, you haven't heard about that? Buckle up. During filming on Safe House, Ryan Reynolds accidentally gave Denzel Washington not one, but two black eyes. Yes, twice. While shooting a chaotic fight scene inside a car, Ryan's head collided with Denzel's face 2 separate times. Ryan later joked that he thought his career was over in that moment, convinced Denzel was about to turn him into liquid. Denzel, ever the professional, brushed it off and kept filming. But let's be honest, how do you recover from accidentally punching one of the most respected actors in Hollywood? Spoiler alert, you don't. To Ryan's credit, he's always been openly admiring of Denzel, calling the experience a masterclass in acting and praising his discipline and intensity in interviews. But here's the kicker. That admiration appears completely one-sided. Denzel's lukewarm responses, awkward silences, and biting humor suggest the feeling is not mutual. And honestly, between the black eyes and Ryan's over-the-top fanboy energy, it's not hard to imagine Denzel finding the whole experience more exhausting than endearing.
Got some major scoops. I mean, everybody's talking because the sink is shipping and people want to get onto lifeboats. So let's jump right in. Welcome back to...
But here's where things get even messier. Ryan isn't the only one in his household facing serious Hollywood side-eye. Blake Lively, the other half of this once untouchable power couple, is now dealing with controversies of her own, and it's doing their brand absolutely no favors. While Ryan is being subtly roasted by Denzel Washington and dismissed by heavyweight filmmakers like Quentin Tarantino, Blake is facing backlash that could threaten her career entirely. Together, their golden couple image, the effortless charm, the industry goodwill, the universal likability, seems to be cracking fast. And in Hollywood, once the shine starts to fade, it rarely comes back the same.
Going to very quickly before I give you all of the tea that I got over the weekend, I'm going to go over the biggest revelations from
Blake's legal battle with her It Ends With Us co-star and director, Justin Baldoni, has been making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Blake has accused Baldoni of creating a toxic work environment and improvising scenes that allegedly made her deeply uncomfortable. But Baldoni isn't backing down. He's fired back with his own explosive claims, accusing Blake and Ryan Reynolds of using their industry influence to damage his reputation. The situation has quickly spiraled into a full-blown public mess, and the court of public opinion hasn't exactly been kind to Blake. Instead of sympathy, she's facing a familiar and dangerous Hollywood label, difficult to work with. And when an actor's star power is already under scrutiny, that reputation can be career poison.
Steph, if you're watching this, I genuinely don't like Blake Lively. Like, I genuinely know. I've known she's a brat. Nobody's...
And it's not just the lawsuit dragging Blake's image down. She's also struggling to maintain her long-held status as a fashion icon, once a key pillar of her appeal. Remember when Blake dominated every red carpet without even needing a stylist? Those days appear to be fading. At a recent gala, she was practically invisible next to Zendaya and Anne Hathaway, who effortlessly stole the spotlight. The contrast was striking, especially for someone who once ruled fashion headlines during her Gossip Girl glory days as the undisputed queen of style. And speaking of Gossip Girl, that brings up another lingering sore spot, her complicated and long-rumored tension with former co-star Leighton Meester.
Say this, I think people really didn't like her during those premiere things, and there was no plot against you, okay? Come down from your high horse.
Rumors of tension between Blake Lively and Leighton Meester have followed them for years. While their on-screen chemistry as Serena and Blair was iconic, insiders have long claimed the two barely spoke off-camera. When Gossip Girl celebrated its 10-year anniversary, the cast reunion made that frosty dynamic impossible to ignore. Some fans speculate that Leighton's post-Gossip Girl success, her stable marriage, music career, and quietly thriving, low-key lifestyle has only highlighted Blake's recent struggles to stay relevant. Then there are Blake's social media missteps. Critics say she's been trying too hard to remain in the spotlight, whether through cringeworthy Instagram posts or ill-timed jokes that backfire. One particularly memorable moment came when Blake attempted to piggyback off the viral Photoshop controversy involving Kate Middleton. Instead of reading the room, she used the moment to promote her own brand, a move that fell completely flat. The backlash was swift. Although she quietly deleted the post, the damage was already done.
And one of the most significant allegations in Baldoni's lawsuit is that Lively sought to gain control over the editing process of the film. This is important.
So where does this leave Hollywood's so-called golden couple? For years, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively have been held up as the ultimate hashtag couple goals. Funny, charming, untouchable. But lately, the cracks in that glossy facade are getting harder to ignore. Between Denzel Washington's brutal, barely disguised takedowns, Quentin Tarantino's dismissive comments about Ryan's films, and Blake's growing mountain of controversies, their A-list status suddenly feels shaky. The industry appears to be keeping them at arm's length, and even longtime fans are starting to question whether the perfection they've been sold was ever real to begin with.
Two sides here, right? So Baldoni says this was all an effort to hijack the film to get her way. Lively claims she was the victim of harassment in a hostile work environment.
Here's the thing, though. Hollywood loves a redemption arc. Careers have been resurrected from far worse. The real question is whether Ryan and Blake can bounce back from this wave of drama, or if we're witnessing the slow unraveling of one of Tinseltown's most beloved couples. And then there's Denzel, behind the scenes. These are the questions everyone's asking, and the answers could end up redefining both of their careers.
Lively's team has denied all of these allegations. They have responded to this filing.
So where were we? Right, Hollywood's golden couple, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, standing at what may be the most difficult chapter of their careers yet. The cracks in their picture-perfect image are deepening by the day, and the drama stretches far beyond industry shade from icons like Denzel Washington or whispered doubts about their reputations. This time, we're diving headfirst into the legal chaos threatening to shake their entire brand. If you thought the behind-the-scenes tension between Ryan and Denzel was juicy, just wait until you see the legal storm brewing around Blake. This isn't just bad press anymore, it's a full-blown scandal, and the fallout could send shockwaves through Hollywood.
Career, he has been a major proponent of feminism, of healthy masculinity. How does it feel for him?
Let's start with the lawsuit that has everyone talking. In December 2024, Blake Lively dropped a bombshell, filing a legal complaint against her It Ends With Us co-star and director, Justin Baldoni. And the allegations were serious. Blake accused Baldoni of creating a hostile work environment during filming and engaging in behavior that made her deeply uncomfortable. But that was just the beginning. Blake didn't stop at calling out his alleged actions on set. She also claimed that after filming wrapped, Baldoni and his team orchestrated a calculated smear campaign against her. According to Blake, they were determined to destroy her reputation in the industry and paint her as the villain of the story. And let's be real, when headlines start throwing around phrases like toxic work environment and smear campaign, bouncing back unscathed is nearly impossible. This lawsuit isn't just a legal battle, it's a high-stakes fight for Blake Lively's career and reputation.
Shutting down a woman's claims.
She is claiming that there was harassment. He's saying none of it is true, never happened.
What makes this even messier is that Baldoni didn't take the accusations lying down. He fired back with a countersuit of his own, and he didn't just target Blake. His lawsuit also names Ryan Reynolds and the couple's longtime publicist, Leslie Sloan, accusing them of defamation and alleging they orchestrated a campaign to destroy his career. He's seeking jaw-dropping sums in damages, turning this into a legal tug-of-war as dramatic as any Hollywood script. But here's the real kicker. This isn't just a courtroom battle between two actors anymore. The lawsuit has pulled in some major players, none other than Taylor Swift. Yes, that Taylor Swift. She's reportedly been subpoenaed to testify, and insiders say she's not thrilled about being dragged into the chaos. Taylor and Blake have been close friends for years. Taylor is even the godmother to Blake and Ryan's children. But sources suggest the nonstop bad press surrounding this case has put a strain on their friendship. And honestly, can you blame her? When you're one of the biggest stars on the planet, the last thing you want is to be entangled in someone else's legal nightmare.
So remember that what Taylor had told Justin was that Blake herself, she said, was Khaleesi, who was the queen in Game of Thrones, and Ryan, her husband, and Taylor were her dragons. her best friend,
protective
although I think
dragon.
best friend is now past tense.
But Taylor's involvement may go deeper than just her personal connection to Blake. According to insiders, Baldoni's legal team is prepared to subpoena text messages and emails that allegedly show Taylor weighing in on the film's creative direction. It's unclear whether Taylor was officially consulted or simply offering friendly advice, but those alleged communications raise serious questions about how involved she really was. Some fans believe this could put Taylor in an incredibly difficult position. Her carefully managed public image has always been about staying above Hollywood drama, and this situation threatens to pull her directly into the mess. Adding to the tension, Baldoni's team is reportedly considering arguments that Taylor's influence indirectly supported Blake's controversial decisions on set, further complicating her role in an already explosive situation.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are seeking to dismiss Justin Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit against them.
And let's not forget the ripple effect this could have on Taylor Swift's broader circle. Hollywood is a small world, and many of Blake and Ryan's celebrity friends, some of whom overlap directly with Taylor, are rumored to be quietly distancing themselves from the couple as the drama continues to unfold. High-profile A-listers like Anne Hathaway and Zendaya, who often move in the same elite social circles, have noticeably avoided commenting on the lawsuit. Now, that silence could just be classic Hollywood discretion, but it also raises a bigger question. Are Blake and Ryan becoming persona non grata in certain powerful circles? For Taylor, who thrives on tightly knit friendships and carefully maintained alliances, getting pulled into this mess could force some very uncomfortable decisions about loyalty versus reputation. So what exactly is Taylor's alleged role in all of this? According to Baldoni's legal team, she played a part in backing Blake's creative decisions for the film. They claim Blake pushed through last-minute script rewrites and major changes, moves Baldoni was reportedly not happy about. One of the most explosive allegations centers on a text message, now included in court filings, where Blake allegedly compared herself to a dragon-riding queen from Game of Thrones, declaring she had dragons like Taylor and Ryan backing her up. It sounds absurdly dramatic, but according to Baldoni's team, it's very real.
So for those of you, just a quick two-liner for those of you not following it. They started this movie, It Ends With Us, about domestic violence. It was his movie that he bought the rights for from the woman who wrote the book, Colleen Hoover. Then he managed to convince Blake Lively to star in it with him, and all hell broke loose.
And speaking of text messages, let's talk about the mountain of evidence both sides are now hurling at each other. Baldoni's lawyers claim they have hundreds of texts and emails that paint Blake and her team in an unflattering light. Meanwhile, Blake's legal team insists they have extensive proof of Baldoni's alleged misconduct on set. It's the ultimate Hollywood standoff, he said, she said, but with A-list celebrities, massive egos, and millions of dollars on the line. One thing is certain. If this goes to trial, it won't be quiet. It'll be a spectacle. And for someone involved, the fallout could be career-ending. But let's zoom out for a moment. What does all of this mean for Blake and Ryan's standing in Hollywood? For years, they've been the ultimate power couple, balancing blockbuster films, luxury endorsements, and a carefully crafted image as relatable, down-to-earth parents. Lately, though, that image has been cracking. The lawsuit has cast a long shadow over Blake's career, and whether he likes it or not, Ryan has been pulled directly into the chaos.
Glamour UK interview by Blake Lively. She was on the cover at the time, and in her interview, she admitted to trying to poison the cast of Gossip Girl, which is where she made her name, against her co-star Penn Badgley, who played her love interest. Dan Humphrey on the show. She said, at first I was so upset that they had hired him. I actually poisoned the whole cast against him.
And it's not just the legal drama raising eyebrows. Industry insiders are beginning to question whether Blake and Ryan have lost their magic touch when it comes to choosing projects. Blake's upcoming films have been met with lukewarm reactions, and the backlash surrounding her role in It Ends With Us has been especially brutal. Fans were quick to point out that Blake, now in her mid-30s, felt like an odd casting choice to play a character fresh out of college. Then there were the infamous leaked behind-the-scenes photos. The internet did what it does best, turning them into memes overnight. Some critics joked that Blake looked more like a fast food mascot than a lady. Ouch. Once Hollywood's fashion darling and screen siren, Blake now finds herself defending choices that used to go unquestioned.
Glamour UK interview by Blake Lively. She was on the cover at the time, and in her interview, she admitted to trying to poison the cast of Gossip Girl, which is where she made her name, against her co-star Penn Badgley, who played her love interest, Dan Humphrey, on the show. She said, "At first I was so upset that they had hired him, I actually poisoned the whole cast against him."
As for Ryan Reynolds, his reputation as Hollywood's go-to funny guy may not be enough to shield him from the fallout. Sure, Deadpool remains a massive success, but outside that franchise, his recent projects haven't exactly been critical darlings. And then there are the whispers about his on-set behavior. Directors like Tim Miller, who worked with Ryan on the first Deadpool film, have hinted at creative clashes that paint Ryan as less of the charming jokester we see in interviews and more as someone who can be difficult behind the scenes. So the bigger question now is this: is Hollywood starting to turn its back on one of its once beloved duos? The industry is notoriously quick to distance itself from controversy, and with influential figures like Denzel Washington and Quentin Tarantino reportedly unimpressed by Ryan, it's hard not to wonder if their star power is beginning to fade. Meanwhile, Blake's legal battle, expected to drag on until at least 2026, only adds to the turbulence. With mounting challenges on every front, are we witnessing the beginning of the end of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's Hollywood reign?